Welcome to Legacy Mentor Wednesday. I've pulled the cards and I'm going to share them with you as prompts. I actually have a question for you as well. And then I have something else to share with you about legacy stories and feeling good. Today I pulled the letter K. I'm going to give you a tree and 5 words I associate with the letter K. Then I'm going to take a look at that single word that prompts me to think about things, which I hope will do for you, and the phrase. But what becomes important is this question, which is, why do some legacy stories feel so good? Hi, I'm Stephen. If we've not met before, welcome, welcome. In these Wednesdays, I pick from my cards, carried a couple of decks of cards that allow me to remind myself of prompts to keep me moving forward. With the letter K, and K by itself, just from a letter point of view, is about peace, serenity, calm, and harmony. And we think of it connected to the word okay. And we have symbols that go with that. But also, if you just put K in your message, most people get the understanding is that you're acknowledging that you received the message and to continue moving forward. Now, with the tree, and I tend to grab a tree because I like to remind myself nature, trees, forests, and walking with them. And so by looking for the tree, then it just reminds me of that inspiration that's important to me. And the tree that I picked today is the Kenai birch, which is found in the Yukon, but more so in Alaska. It's with the birch family. It has a papery bark and it has a bit more red associated with it. I've not actually touched one yet, so I guess I have something on my to do list, my legacy list. Now, when it comes to the 5 words, it's kindness, kinder, kind, kin, and ki. So let me do it in reverse. Ki is Japanese for life force. We might think of chi, Tao, these kind of words that remind us of the life force that's around us, through us, because of us. And then there's the connection with kin. And I like to remind myself, and for you today, kin, the organic and inorganic kin. With that in mind, there is the kin of, we understand persons, but there is the wild kin, which is the sense of the animals. Go into the plants and go into the stones. Even if you go it through the lens of energy and movement and down into the atoms of what it is we're looking at. The kind, it's sort of has two senses to it. Kind, as in differentiating one thing from another. There's a kind of trees, coniferous deciduous, for example. Kind is the beginning statement of recognizing that there is a way in which to interact with one another that's kind. And I connect that with caring. So you get kinder, which is a statement of bold inspiration and improvement, focus, and strengthen, putting energy into doing something that is kinder. And I put that in connection with simpler and deeper and better and wiser. And then I add kinder. So that's my way of expressing it, all the way into the sense of kindness, this ethical expression of how we interact with one another has kindness associated with it. And it goes back to caring. Well, the single word today was inspiration. So I'll take inspire, inspiring, inspiration, and share some thoughts with you. To inspire is to breathe in, and we sometimes forget that expire is to breathe out. And it's also to stimulate the head, heart, and hands, the inspiration to get going. And if it's with legacy stories, the crafting, the shaping, the sharing, the writing, it may be sculpting it, it might be filming it, whatever way you are crafting, shaping, and sharing a legacy story. And again, as you know, with the tree and nature, nature as an inspiration for every breath. So when I'm walking outside it sort of comes to me is that the breaths that I'm taking, there's inspiration here, not only from the point of view of what I hear or feel, but just the surroundings that are there. I love to walk with the trees, be within the forest, and walk those pathways. They bring so much to the foreground for me, and they serve as these metaphors of muse and metaphor as I'm thinking about the inspiration for every breath that I take. And legacy is an expression of every thought because it comes at a point in time where you're thinking about, I have a legacy story I want to share. These are my thoughts and feelings, and I want to bring them to the foreground as a gift so others can learn from me. And then there's the notion of, and I would encourage you to think about it from this perspective. Here's 3 points about inspiration, inspiring, just to give you prompts that might assist you with your writing, your crafting of legacy stories. Inspiration roots in experience and blossoms through story. So the experiences you have, you can pull from that. The legacy that you want to actually share blossoms itself out, just like as in the spring, the trees blossom. Legacy stories inspire action across generations. If you are really into being mindful, this breathing in, this finding ways in which to stimulate your head, heart, and hands to the stories you're sharing, it can be across generations. So if the intergenerational conversations you're having, there can be great inspiration within that. So give it a go and see what happens. And living legacy life inspires meaningful connection. While I appreciate legacy life, there's a unique journey there. There's also adventures together with others so that you can really bring to the foreground, improve focus and strengthen all the points that I've just made about inspiration. So give it a go and see what it is that comes to the foreground for you. Put the word inspire down, inspiring inspiration, and connect words with it. Draw a drawing, noodle and doodle, and see what comes for you that would help you with living legacy life. As to the phrase that I picked up today, it was perspective and perception. And these two words are connected, but they sort of follow each other and dog chasing its tail kind of idea. And so I went and unpacked it one afternoon because I wanted to really appreciate it because I kept tossing them around. And at one point in my life, I would sort of treat them as the same thing. And I realized they're not. And that's what I want to share with you now is perception is that outside in, without within. And perspective is inside out, that within without sort of sense. So I think a perception is coming in this direction, perspective is going in that direction. And when you bring perception and perspective together, you are sharing a point of view. So when you go to share, to educate, to bring something to the awareness of someone else, you are sharing your point of view made up of perception and perspective. So let's just take a look at it just a little bit deeper. So perception is you see, interpret, and make sense of the world, take in and shape that information about ways in which you, oh, this is how the world's operating, this is what I'm seeing, so that as I formulate my perspective as my mental position of the world shaped by my value, shaped by my values and background, experiences and beliefs. So, of what I've taken in, what it is I figured that I want to share out, it becomes a very dynamic point of view that you're able to offer. And therefore, you'll find that your perception and perspective shift and grow and develop. And that's an aspect of curiosity. And that's why I always say, may curiosity fill the day. It's because of perception and perspective and bringing them together. Notice your perceptions, own your perspectives. So, with that, again, prompts. Where is it that you have a perception? Where is it you have a perspective? How do you understand them? How do they come together to help you shape and share legacy stories? Again, prompts. See what they might do for you as you're moving forward in living your legacy life. With the question I posed earlier, let me set it up in the following way. When you connect personal felt safety, in other words, everything is okay for you, you can move forward, you don't feel as though you're in a place where harm might come to you, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, or you're not in a position to do anything like that to anyone else. In other words, you connect your personal felt safety with the legacy outcomes you're working for and with. You seek through intergenerational conversations, including interacting with the legacent. Legacent is a legacy mentor. You can answer this question. Why do some legacy stories feel so good? I have some thoughts for you. Let's see what happens. And with each of these responses, think of them again as prompts about living your legacy life and see where it might take you. So, felt safety creates the ground for emotional honesty. So, with aging confidently and with a legacy mentor, this legacent, you are free to speak, explore, and feel without judgment or fear of disconnection. Because what's happening here is you have a sense of presence. There's deep listening that's taking place, especially when that legacy mentor is present. And I'm going to encourage, as you look at these three statements in answer to this question, bring that legacent in with you, that legacy mentor. Because if that legacent is doing their approach correctly, then there won't be interruption. They're going to flow with you as you are noodling and doodling through what you're thinking. Because what you're going to be doing here is you're going to be reflecting on your emotional truth, your buried messages, and your spiritual longing. So, nice poetic way of saying, of the things you're thinking about, feeling about, sort of within, without, within, around, for, because of what's going on in your life, then the reflection that you have an opportunity to reflect on with your legacy mentor can bring to the surface so many more beautiful insights and interpretations that you can investigate and interpret as you walk forward. Thus, I would encourage you to trust your voice. Whatever comes to the surface, the questions you're asking, trust that voice, position yourself so that your responses make sense to you. They are within that conversation you're having with your legacy mentor. And what it does is it's bringing forth your wisdom. And it's your wisdom that helps to ground you in this emotional honesty that when you go to shape and share your legacy life, in this case, legacy stories, then you know that they're grounded, they're rooted in something that you can almost, in a sense, if not, touch and be able to bring reference back to. And that's and that is most helpful and useful to you. This mention of felt safety also supports meaning making without shame. I don't know about you, but there are memories that are coming back that I go, oh, I wish I had said I'm sorry back then. Or now that I'm a few years along, I go, why was I even thinking that? Why did I do that? And sometimes that can make you retreat and forget something, whereas there might be learning there that you can bring forward without having to relive it or bring it out in a way that there is shame involved with it or encourage shame from someone else. But what you can do is with this felt safety in place and being in it's active, then the mental and emotional systems relax, which is great because it's allowing you to integrate storytelling and story sharing. So the story sharing is when it's coming from you with someone else. Storytelling is coming from you for a group of persons. Think about storytelling around the campfire, story sharing, sitting and having a coffee with a person. And what's happening here is that this is where vulnerability meets curiosity. And if there's anything that I would encourage, and I've mentioned this already, is may curiosity fill the day. As you are aging confidently, to be able to stay present with this aging and your beliefs and your mental thoughts and emotions, you're going to be vulnerable even to yourself to remember them because of what I just mentioned about a minute ago. Because as you start to align your memory and values and life experiences, you're going to be going, am I going to identify a legacy spark here that would get me to move in a certain way in the writing of a story, crafting of a story, filming of a story? So give yourself that opportunity to find that meaning making, because really what you're doing is you're looking for how to take the experience you've had, reframe the story that has some coherence for use now, to pass it along as that gift. And one of the ways to do that, and this has helped me because of those situations I introduced this section with, was that I said to myself, I never told someone this, but it will always matters to me because. And then I try to figure out what happened for me, what did it do for me, and what is it that I can share, pass along the wisdom that goes with that. So that was one of the ways in which I wanted to take a look at this meaning making and to do it without shame, because that's so important. This third one around felt safety inspires story living, not just storytelling, can be done with you and those that you have conversations with. It can be with you and a legacent, a legacy mentor. So think about this a little bit broader, looking at all those that you're going to interact with. And one of the things that I would encourage is to think about, yes, there's storytelling, story sharing. These are the formats in which you bring your story to living life. But if you were to say, hang on a minute, is it story living? That is a really important way to up level what you're doing here from writing and shaping and sharing your legacy stories, because living that story, in other words, story living, means that, yes, I'm sharing it, but guess what? With that insights and ideas I get from that sharing, that telling, I might go, I could actually reinterpret what I'm sharing. I could edit it, add, alter, delete. And that is a wonderful way in which to move forward. Because if you have the felt safety as of the other two that I've just mentioned, and you bring these insights I'm going to share with you now into the mix, then story living becomes foreground. So when you feel safe, you can tell the truth of your experience, and those who you interact with have that opportunity as well, because they find that felt safety in being able to converse with you, to interact with you, to inspire their own involvement with you. And story living begins when safety allows action aligned with values. When we understand our values, there's so much more that we can do with it. Our values are what is of most importance to us, because it's through our values that we decide consciously and sometimes non-consciously what it is that we're going to do. And if you understand your hierarchy of values, then living your legacy life, then story living. Oh, I'll tell you, it really makes a difference. And it's taken me, I'm in my 71st revolution of the sun, and I'm still bringing that element into living my legacy life. So I thought I'd share that as a personal story as well. And what happens here is this story living, it shifts you from this idea of performance to connection. Yes, I am on a unique journey, but I'm also adventurous together. So my performance, yes, but it's the connection and what it is that we're going to be able to accomplish together. And from monologue to dialogue, and that is if you are only presenting your voice and mastery and position and authority, okay, that could be a monologue. There you go. But if you're doing it by exchanging insights and information and interpretations and investigations with others, then the story that you're bringing to the foreground can be that much deeper and simpler, better, wiser, kinder. Ah, what a way in which to bring your story to the foreground. And with this felt safety, it's important to remember you unlock the movement, the momentum, and that meaningful contribution. Because your legacy stories, when they start to become known to others and you bring them to the foreground and you actually start to share them, they can be legacy contributions with one or two or three people, or they can become a legacy project. And it can be many persons that are engaging with your story. So, with these three ideas, what I'm attempting to do is bring awareness of truth, trust, and transparency to you. So if you re-listen to these 3 points again, now add the truth, trust, and transparency aspect to it, that finding that truth, sharing that trust within yourself and with others, and be transparent about what it is you want to share, to live. And therefore, living your legacy life becomes that impetus, that inspiration to age confidently, gracefully, naturally. What you're seeing now popping up, having gone through the presentation, are videos that I would encourage you to go to next. And you will find that what they'll do is they'll up your insights into living this legacy life. In particular, the playlist prompt, because I shoot these shorts anywhere from 50 seconds to a couple of minutes. And again, they're almost like daily prompts, and you can use those with your journal to shape and share your legacy stories, to live your story, to be in your legacy story living. Best wishes with it, and take care.